So you're gonna hear me better, and you have your own microphone.
Okay.
And we don't have any rules, but the microphone is almost like you could touch the mustache if you want to. If it's too loud, you just tell me and I can lower it down a little bit.
Okay.
This is the Superhero Club podcast, and you have Rasmus at the far end, the very beautiful one. Then you have Johan next beside him. Then you have Simon beside you. On the other side you have Per. This is Marcus. And I'm Rasmus too, so you're Rasmus here and Rasmus over there.
You get Rasmus in stereo.
Yeah. So I'm the old one, he's the gorgeous one.
Stop saying that.
So we do it like this. We just press play and then we go.
Okay.
So is there anything that you don't want to talk about, or is it free for all?
It's free for all. Can I use swear words?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, good.
We encourage it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I have a foul mouth.
No, that's no problem.
Great.
Then you fit right in.
Much appreciated.
Yeah. So I press the button and we hear the intro, and then we take it from there.
Okay.
And we're gonna try to get you to see who's talking, so you just see which mouth is moving.
Okay.
Yeah. So here we go.
That one's yours.
Yes, hello and welcome to the Superhero Club, or Superhjälteklubben as it's called in Sweden. We are at Comic-Con now again, and we sit here with a dear guest. Would you please like to introduce yourself to the crowd?
I'm Michael Lark.
And you are a comic book artist, right?
I am,
Yes.
among other things.
Great seeing you here. Great having you at the table.
It's great to be here.
Nice, very good.
This is my first time in Sweden.
It
Very
is?
happy to be here, yes.
Okay.
Then we gotta ask, how's your first time in Sweden?
Well, so far it's just been this.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah.
Not the usual Swedish experience. We usually get the meatballs part, IKEA part. But that's
yeah.
tomorrow, maybe.
Well, I mean, we have that in the States and in the UK too, so...
Have we sold out in Sweden?
So if you want the Swedish experience, you can go to IKEA any day of the week.
The whole country has been assembled from flat packs, correct?
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
Correct, absolutely right.
This entire convention was just flat when it got here. So,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes. I wanted to ask you, Michael, I watched a few interviews with you from throughout the years, and you say repeatedly that you were pretty late into comic books, and you started reading in college, right?
Yes.
What was it that got you into the comic? What sort of comic got you your interest peaked, so to say?
There were a lot of, black and white titles that were being published, at least in the States, in the mid '80s when I was in college. My favorite was a book by Ted McKeever called Eddy Current.
Yeah.
I just loved his art. Things like Love and Rockets. I was a big fan of Guy Davis's work on Baker Street. This is, obviously before Sandman Mystery Theater and BPRD. This was one of the first things he did. That was just the first time I saw art by artists who weren't working in like a superhero house style.
Yeah.
Which I obviously don't do and can't do. And so that was the first time I saw that there was the possibility of doing comics that didn't look like that.
No, exactly. It's something
Yeah.
different.
Yes.
And that is something that I feel like it has. That is where your work comes in. It is a very noir, of course. It is a darker style to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think I'm more influenced by old adventure comic strip art, but like Noel Sickles and Milt Caniff, who were really using heavy blacks to communicate because of the medium of working in the newspaper strips.
Yeah.
It was much more effective than working with a lot of lines.
Right.
Which that was a heavy influence on me. I still tend to think more in terms of light and shadow than in line.
Yeah.
I wanted to get into that a bit because I wouldn't say it's a condition, but I have a hard time visualizing things. Hence why I usually read the comics instead of just books. But I figured when I read through Batman 9 Lives,
Yes.
I went through the first pages and I thought, this is so well done, and the style is so substantial and special in a way that it was like a movie for me, and I've never felt that with any other comic. Like it painted the picture itself.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Do you have a certain process when you get into that? Like, when do you know that this has the Lark seal of approval?
I don't know if any of my stuff ever has my seal of approval.
Really?
It never looks as good on the page as it looked in my head.
Really? What's missing in that case? What's left in your head that's not on the page?
Oh, so much.
So much.
So much. I mean, everything in my head is moving. You know, I read the script, and I don't like it if a writer tells me, okay, draw this picture, then draw this picture, then draw this picture. I want the writer to just tell me what's happening.
Right.
Because I picture it like a movie, and then I just pick out frames from the movie, that's playing in my head.
That's exactly what I felt as well, because I remember when I was talking to my other friends here in the pod that I looked at certain frames and certain expressions on the characters' faces were like so natural that once again I haven't seen before done that way.
That's just the way I draw and the way I think. Greg Rucka, who I've worked with for a long, long time, he describes my art as documentarian.
Yeah.
I think that I'm more interested in that natural behavior than, people, gritting their teeth and snarling and jumping around, punching each other. I'm not really interested in that.
It feels more human in a way, I would guess, because
I hope so.
A lot of comics are exaggerated, of course. They're
Sure.
like super godlike creatures. But it feels more human, you said, and you kind of feel closer to the characters.
Well, I'm more interested in what's in the characters' interior lives than anything else. I think that's something that we can all generally relate to better, and I'm more interested in that. I want to relate to the character emotionally when I draw them, and so that's why I'm thinking that way. I'm sorry, I keep turning my head away from the microphone.
I understand.
I forget I need to move my microphone with my head.
No, but I was thinking then Batman is kind of the perfect or a really good example of that, because there's so much brooding, there's so much inside of the character that's going on. How was it working with like Batman in that way?
Well, I think it really just depends on the writer. Different writers are going to approach different characters different ways, and I've been lucky that I've worked with people like Ed Brubaker, Greg Rucka, Brian Bendis, writers who know that there's got to be more to a story than just jumping around and punching and yelling and gritting teeth. To me, that's not an interesting story. That's just an action sequence inside of a story, and that action sequence, the only reason it's going to be interesting is because of the emotional content. It's like, the first John Wick movie, isn't a very good story unless you have the dog.
No, absolutely right. Yeah. There needs to be motivation for the character.
Yeah, exactly. There needs to be a reason for you to invest in that story. And that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in trying to get the reader to make that investment.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have a question when it comes to of course we adore your art, but
Thank you.
Have you gotten your your moment that you feel like this is the best that I can do, or do you have your dream left? Do you know what I mean? Like, have you created anything that you feel like this is perfect?
No, nothing's perfect.
You have
ever.
that left. Okay.
Yeah, nothing's ever perfect. I mean, that's, I tell students when I talk to them that if you've decided to pursue this, you've decided to embark on a journey that you'll never reach the destination.
Perfect. That's what I'm going for.
There's if you think you've got it perfect, then might as well stop.
Exactly.
It's a constant learning and growing process. Every day when I draw, it's like, well, how can I draw a lamp better today than I drew it yesterday? How can I draw this facial expression better today than I drew it yesterday?
I guess you feel like you're still chasing that sort of... You're still chasing it.
Always.
Always improving.
Yeah.
Never done.
Well, that's why when you ask, what's different from what's in my head than what's on the page, it's because, I'm human. I can't get it perfect.
No, that's...
I'll never get it perfect.
That's the perfect answer, actually. That's the perfect answer. Because we're always when we talk to you guys that come here and you have built the worlds that we live in, Like we read your material all from. We had Howard Chaykin a couple of years ago, and Jim Starlin and those guys. You all, we feel like we know you guys because we have read your material and looked at your pictures for years, and it's so good to hear that nothing is perfect because nobody's perfect.
No, you can't. I mean, if you expect it to be perfect, you're just going to spend all the time revising and fixing. And you know, I'm a fan of American baseball, and you know, a good baseball player only succeeds 30% of the time. That's considered, you know, the best Hall of Fame material. Is, you know, if you go up to bat, you're gonna fail 70% of the time.
Oh yeah.
And so I try to remember that when I'm working on a page, that if I've got 6 panels on there, if 2 of them, if I'm happy with the way 2 of them come out, I'm Hall of Fame material. You know?
That's yeah. So do you have you been? I don't know how to phrase it, but like, do you have any like characters that you haven't worked on yet that you would like to work on or create or something?
I was sort of having a similar question, so we can, if you want to answer him first, but I am on the same track.
You know, I'm no longer interested in working on other people's characters.
Right.
I've done that, and I like creating and owning my own characters. There's, you know, some of that's financial, some of that's just, you know, creative satisfaction. But I'm no longer interested in, you know, I'm not like, oh, I've always wanted to do an Iron Man book, you know. Now I will make the exception that, you know, I grew up, you know, when I was 10 years old, the first Star Wars movie came out, and that changed everything for me.
Yeah.
And I grew up not wanting to draw comics since I came late to comics. I grew up wanting to design spaceships for Star Wars.
Okay, yeah.
So I would probably jump at the chance to do a Star Wars comic, depending on how much creative freedom they gave me to do it. From what I understand, they don't give you much creative freedom. So
No,
We have talked with a couple of guys who's been working on them, and no, it's not that much of a
Absolutely.
wiggle room.
Yeah, no, we talked to Chris Browse. We talked to Chris Browse exactly a year ago at this event, I think, and he talked about exactly that. That there are so many limitations when it comes to the characters. They need to look a certain way to sort of make it through.
yeah, I'd want to do something in that universe, but not something with the established characters.
Oh,
if I
yeah.
did something, you know.
Would you want to make it a noir sort of tale then?
I really like westerns, and I've always thought like a Star Wars western would be good, and not the kind of lame, crappy, you know, Anakin Skywalker attacking the Sand People western.
No.
You know, that they did in the prequels. I could see a good western style Star Wars story. I've always thought that would be great. Kind of a combination of western and maybe samurai sort of story.
Did you watch The Mandalorian?
I have not watched all of it, no.
There is one episode, I think in the first season, there is an episode where it feels very Western. There's
There's a lot of
sheriff.
elements of westerns in the Star Wars movies, yeah.
Yeah. But my follow-up to Rasmus' question was sort of not which character you would like to work on, but since you do a lot of noir, and right now the Spider-Man noir series is coming out on Prime, I think.
Yes.
And with all of these, this sort of rise in popularity for the style, are there heroes or characters that you see around you or in comic books which you would like to see a noir take on?
Not really, no. I mean, I've always wanted to do, you know, my first professional comic book work was an adaptation of a novel by Raymond Chandler, a detective novel. And I've always wanted to do something else like that again. But as far as like something being adapted into that style, I did that with Batman with 9 Lives, and yeah, there's not really anything else.
No.
But speaking about 9 Lives again, and I read through Lazarus, and one thing that really stood out to me was that I felt like the blood in the series was kind of another character almost in a way.
It's a pretty violent series, yeah.
It's a pretty violent series. I read a couple of violent series, but what I thought stood out in Lazarus was that it was much more of a dramatic effect. Like the blood was actually horrible to see when much of the other blood in other series are, here's gore, please feel something. And I felt like that was special. How do you handle like gore and violence in...
Well, again, there's got to be a reason for it and a point to it and a connection to the humanity of the characters. So it is going to be horrible. It is going to be violent. When there's violence in our comic, it's not a good thing.
No, exactly.
It's not heroic. It's not it's not like Punisher or even John Wick. It's and as much as I love those both those properties, it's more like this is a bad consequence of things going wrong when it happens. So I think that's my thinking on it.
Right? Yeah, it sort of becomes a necessary evil to take care of the situation in those situations.
I don't know how necessary it is, but yeah, it's not a good thing. It's not a great heroic thing when violence happens.
No, it should be the last resort.
When it comes too quickly, it's like we've already hit the extreme already. And then when we hit that story beat, how should we make it worse than it is way too excessive? Like Punisher and John Wick, for example.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you've talked about westerns. You've talked about. I'm thinking outside of comics. Do you watch any movies, or do you listen to music, or what's your other side of the thing?
Well, I'm an amateur musician, a part-time musician as well.
What instrument?
I play guitar and bass.
Really?
Yes.
Then you're at the right table, because we are 1, 2, with you, 3, 4
guitarists.
Guitar players. So we really like music. So what's your favorite music? What's your go-to music when you put it on Spotify or something?
He buys music, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, I'm wearing an Angine de Poitrine shirt right now. The new Internet Darlings. Really love them. I tend to go for. I'm kind of lean towards like post-punk mostly. That's music that was coming out like probably when I was in college. A lot of it.
So the more important question at this podcast from now on is, what kind of guitar do you have?
I've got a few. Right now I'm playing bass mostly.
Okay.
I'm actually a big fan, and I'm going to sound like a total dork for saying this, but I don't buy expensive musical equipment because I'm not super proficient at it. I could buy the most expensive guitar in the world and I'd still suck. So what's the point of spending all that money? So I look for affordable gear, and I'm a big fan of Harley Benton stuff right now. They make really quality, low-cost instruments.
Yeah, I have a couple.
Yeah, I only discovered them since I moved to the UK 2 years ago, because they're not a big thing in the States. And I've got a Jazzmaster that I really like that's made by them, and I just got a short scale bass from them that I really, really like a lot.
I like your take on it, because it's like the same. I'm a music teacher by trade, and I work with kids, and I work with music for 20 years with kids. And that's like the first thing that I try to tell them, that you don't need the expensive guitars. Of course, it's fine to look at an SG and think I want that, but that should be a goal, to learn how to play a crappy guitar and hear that, okay, now I can do better. I need a better guitar, and level up a little bit every time, instead of like going to the guitar shop and buy a guitar for $20,000, and it doesn't matter if it costs $200 or $20,000, because it sounds the same.
Well, I've got I have guitars that I had to leave behind in the States when I moved to the UK. That I've got a Fender Squier Jazzmaster. That the Harley Benton costs much less, and it's a much better Jazzmaster.
Yeah,
I like it much more. Yeah,
I love this discussion, but our time is running out.
Yeah, sorry.
We're going to have to return you back to your table.
Hey, I'm just following your lead.
Yeah, I understand. I was told by David he would kill me if we were late, so we're gonna have to bring you back.
Just a question like to end on it, because we started asking if you've done anything in Sweden yet. Do you have anything on plan that you want to do before you go?
No, just this. My wife and I are gonna head back as soon as this is over, Monday morning.
Okay.
We're gonna go back to the UK and go back to life there.
That sounds good.
Awesome.
One last thing. Would you like to appear in a photo with us for the episode as we release it?
Of course.
Okay. Thank you very much.
It's been a huge honor to have you here.
Absolutely.
A huge
Fun.
honor. Thank
Thanks.
you so much for everything.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Love
Have a
your
good-
work.